So it's a interesting headspace to be in. Something and it comes with a real recovery period once you are traumatized. It took a minute for me to actually say I'm genuinely okay and not feeling vigilant and constantly looking behind my shoulder, see if anybody was like following me or anybody's approaching me for with danger or anything. And it's not saying that I had like it's one of those things where like once you've been through something like I've been through, like you'll always have that thought in the back of your mind, but it does get better over time once you realize like not every person walking behind you is somebody out to get you. Like it's not like that, but you have to really train your mind to think that way. It's just a shift in mindset after you've been traumatized. So, like I said, I've gotten to a place where I can say I'm genuinely okay and not feeling vigilant or constantly looking behind me. It was a tough journey, but I'm tougher for making it through the other side. I think the best thing I did was get help and allow myself to heal. Taking a little break from responsibilities in life after that whole situation was essential during that time because it was having a big responsibility to make the decisions I made that led myself and others to safety during that period of time where I was traumatized, where I was met with the bullshit from my old bosses, where I was like, I'm quitting this job and going into recovery after being traumatized with PTSD. And these people, I'm the worst person because I almost got in the way of them making their money. So what I did and the decisions I made didn't matter to them. So why would I want to work for a job ever again in that capacity? You know what I mean? So I was traumatized, and besides the scary situation, I was also traumatized from dealing with the people that I dealt with at that job. And I just needed a break. So definitely a break was healing to me. I didn't need to be irritated by just customers or coworkers or people throwing you under the bus or having bosses that didn't give a shit about you. So definitely a healing period those 2 months. And then I got the job at Stu's, and that was that. I would constantly hear people I would run into people that knew me from that job, and they would just feed me little bits of how it is now, and it would just make my day. It was like the gift that kept the gift that keeps on giving when people would complain like I don't go there anymore because of this, or I stopped going there because of that. And then I think the cherry on top of the sundae that I received after going, I think when somebody who's a regular customer came in and told me the manager who mm, you know nobody really liked because she would constantly get people fired because she was just ridiculous. She got fired herself, and I was like, oh, the girl who revoked my tips after I cried to her on the phone during the traumatic situation, and she heard me in real time crying, and then she switched up on me because she never really liked me, and she got fired. She got what was coming to her. So that was like the cherry on top of everything. And I was so happy to hear that. And that I hear from what I hear that place is going downhill slowly but surely, and good. Because how do you go on about life, running your business, not caring about your employees, and girls constantly being traumatized because you do nothing about the people who sexually harass your employees? You listen to the complaints, but you do nothing about it. It's slowly but surely your time is coming. That place is gonna close. Anyways, I hope so for all the people that have been traumatized from that place. I hope they get what's coming to them. But yeah, let's get back to PTSD. Let's get back to the topic at hand. I do feel like I left that place and I found my purpose after leaving that place, which is helping others, telling my story, and really just sharing what happened to me for a reason. Maybe my purpose was this, you know what I mean? So definitely, um, things happen for a reason. I feel happier now not being associated. Okay, so let's dive back in. So the five key signs of PTSD include: one, intrusion symptoms like intrusive memories or flashbacks; two, avoidance behaviors such as avoiding reminders of the trauma; negative alterations of, sorry, cannot speak. Uh, Negative alterations in cognition and mood, including persistent negative beliefs about oneself or the world. 4. Marked changes in arousal and reactivity, like irritability and hypervigilance, and experiencing trauma or that is perceived as life-threatening or involving sexual violation, either oneself or a loved one. Here's a more detailed breakdown. Intrusion symptoms. These involve experiencing the traumatic event again, involuntarily, which can manifest into flashbacks, intense vivid episodes where the person feels like they're reliving the trauma, intrusive memories, recurring distressing memories of the event, nightmares, disturbing dreams related to the trauma, distress at reminders, intense emotional or physical reaction to things that remind them of the trauma, or avoidance symptoms. People with PTSD may try to avoid anything that reminds them of the trauma, including external reminders, avoiding places, people, or situations that are associated with the trauma, internal reminders, suppressing thoughts and feelings or memories related to the event, negative alterations in cognition and mood. This event changes in how a person thinks and feels, such as negative beliefs, having persistent negative beliefs about oneself or others in the world, distorted thoughts, having distorted thoughts about course or consequences of the event, negative emotions, experiencing persistent fear, horror, anger, shame, loss of interest, losing interest in activities they previously enjoyed, feeling detached or estranged, feeling disconnected from others, marked changes in arousal or reactivity. This involves changes in how a person responds to the world, including irritability and anger outbursts, easily becoming irritable and having angry outbursts, reckless or self-destructive behavior, engaging in risky, harmful behaviors, hypervigilance, being overly watchful and constantly scanning their environment for potential threats, exaggerated startle response, being easily startled by unexpected noises or movements, difficulty concentrating, having trouble focusing or paying attention, sleep disturbances, having trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or experiencing nightmares, experiencing a traumatic event that is a necessary component for a PTSD diagnosis. This event can be directly experiencing a life-threatening event or injury, witnessing the death, injury, or threat to someone else, experiencing a traumatic event that happened close to a close family member or friend, or experiencing repeated or extreme exposure to details of traumatic events, like first responders dealing with details of accidents. And PTSD recovery generally progresses through several stages through the experience is unique to each individual. A common framework involves safety and stabilization, processing the trauma and reconnection and integration. Some models break down this further potential, including stages like impact, denial, intrusive or repetitive, and short/long-term recovery. PTSD significantly impacts daily life, affecting mental, physical, and social well-being. It can lead to emotional distress, difficulty concentrating, relationship problems, and even physical health issues. And here's a more detailed look at the impact. Emotional and mental health, intrusive thoughts and flashbacks, recurring unwanted memories, nightmares, flashbacks of the traumatic event, and can be distressing and disrupt daily activities. Emotional numbness, feeling detached, empty, or emotionally numb can make it hard to experience joy or connection with others. Negative thoughts and beliefs. Individuals may develop negative beliefs about themselves, others, or the world. Oh, 100%. What happened to me definitely changed my view on the world. And it took for me to be around actual, genuinely good people at the job I had after it to really just be like, okay, so people aren't so bad. So you know what? I was rushed to go back to work, even though I wanted to take more of a break than the 2 months that I had. But you know what? I think part of my healing process, I think going back to work definitely kept me busy, it helped me get paid so I was able to do the hobbies that I wanted to do. But it also helped me shift my mindset from everybody is shit, I hate everybody, like nobody's real, everybody's fake, to really actually finding genuinely cool people that I actually liked, and I didn't look at the world so like skewed like I did after that whole situation, or I wasn't scared of people. Like it definitely was a blessing in disguise, but yeah, believing not believing everyone's bad. Not everyone's a bad person, but there are some shady dipskins out there. Increased anxiety and irritability, hypervigilance. I spoke about that. I was very vigilant. Difficulty relaxing can lead to constant anxiety, irritability, and angry outbursts. Depression, emotional toll of PTSD can contribute to feelings of sadness, hopelessness, despair, potentially leading to depression. Physical health, sleep problems, insomnia, nightmares. I did have nightmares the first week of recovery. Um, Difficulty sleeping can be common, contributing to fatigue, exacerbating other PTSD symptoms. Physical health problems. Um, PTSD has been linked to an increased risk of physical health problems like pain, digestive issues, cardiovascular problems, social life and relationships, relationship difficulties, trust issues. 100%. I had issues with trusting people and thinking like when I went into my next job, I didn't confide in people like I did in my last job. I got along with everybody. Like I was well liked, but I was very closed off in the beginning because I didn't trust because of what I had just gone through. Besides the whole traumatic event, what I had just gone through with people at that last job, I didn't trust nobody. I was going there to collect a check. I was not there to tell this one and that one what's going on in my life, what I think about this one, what I think about that one. I minded my P's and Q's for good reason because of the trauma that I endured. So, you know what I mean? Like, it can cause you to have trust issues. You gotta sometimes just let that guard down. Not everyone's gonna run and tell your business. Emotional withdrawal, but I will say people do talk, so it is common that people do talk. So it's good to keep your guard up, but it's also good to just let loose and don't say too much, but don't say not. You know what I mean? Like, don't say too much, but don't say not enough, where people are gonna think like you're being standoffish. And irritability can strain relationships with family and friends. Social isolation. Individuals may withdraw from social situations due to anxiety, fear, and desire to avoid triggers. Work or school performance, difficulty concentrating, flashbacks, and hyperarousal can negatively impact performance in work and academic settings. Coping mechanisms and substance abuse. Escapism. Individuals may turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms like substance abuse or excessive behaviors to numb painful emotional escapes from triggers. I will admit, and I'm not saying you can do it at your own risk, but I did do a lot of take a lot of edibles and things like that. Like when I would come home and do my self-reflection after work, I would take edibles and kind of just escape the pain that I was feeling. And it's not a healthy way to cope, and I don't think it was the smartest thing to do, but it made me, like, I would sit home closed off from the world, and I would be laughing my ass off doing a craft or baking or cooking and just having a grand old time. I think when it says that, I agree with what it says, escapism, and it's not for everyone. But when you're someone like me who's used to it and has the tolerance for it, I definitely had a good time doing it. Like I would be isolated. I would go to work and socialize, come home and be by myself, home with my parents, and I would cook and bake and I would laugh my ass off by myself, like enjoying myself. So like I said, at your own risk, do it. Like do that at your own risk. Avoiding situations, places, or activities that remind them of the trauma can lead to isolation, further impact daily life, and impact on daily activities. Concentration and memory. Difficulty in concentrating and memory problems can make it challenging to complete tasks at work, school, or home. Everyday task fatigue and difficulty focusing can make even simple tasks like cooking or cleaning feel overwhelming. Overall functioning. A cumulative effect of these challenges can significantly impair daily functioning and overall quality of life. Now, here are the symptoms of PTSD. I don't know if I went over this. I will say it again. PTSD symptoms generally fall into 4 categories: intrusive memories, avoidance, changes in mood and thinking, and changes in physical and emotional reactions. These symptoms can significantly disrupt daily life, and affect relationships, work, and overall well being. Intrusive memories, flashbacks, nightmares, intrusive thoughts, emotional, physical reactions, avoidance, avoiding reminders, avoiding thoughts or feelings, changes in moods, negative thoughts or feelings, distorted beliefs, loss of interest, emotional numbness, dissociative symptoms, changes in arousal or activity, feeling easily. I think we went over this, but I'm just going to say it again. Being easily startled, difficulty concentrating, sleep disturbances, irritability and angry outbursts, reckless or self destructive behavior, and hypervigilance. And it's important to note that these symptoms can vary in intensity and presentation from person to person, and a diagnosis of PTSD requires professional evaluation by a medical professional. Now, here's a more detailed look at the stages. The impact/emergency stage. It's the initial phase that occurs immediately after the traumatic event. Symptoms may include shock, fear, panic, and physical distress. The focus is immediate safety and survival, 100%. I know that feeling. The denial and the numbing stage. The initial shock subsides. Individuals may enter a phase of denial and emotional numbing, attempting to distance themselves from the trauma. I don't remember that as much, but it could have been. It was 2 years ago, and I was in a weird mind state. Intrusive repetitive stage. The traumatic memories resurface, leading to flashbacks, nightmares, or increased anxiety. This stage involves confronting the trauma and its impact. Oh, I don't remember that as much. Transition emotional processing. Individuals begin to process the trauma, engage in therapy, develop coping strategies, and stages. The stage marks a shift towards healing and regaining control. 100%. I would say, like, not so long after it happened, when I got back from that vacation I went on soon after, 2 days after, I went into therapy to help kind of grasp what was going on. And I went into therapy well into when I started my job at Stu's, which was like Halloween of that year. And I went on my break like the beginning of that August. So I had a good 2 or 3 months of therapy to kind of grasp what was going on. So definitely that. I think, okay, recovery. Recovery and integration stage. The individual experiences improved emotional regulation, a renewed sense of identity, and a long-term stability. The trauma no longer dominates their life. I think I'm in that stage right now. Like it's now no longer dominating my. I'm no longer afraid to go out in public. Like, I'll go out in public and I'm fine. Like it's nothing shakes me anymore. Reconnection and integration stage. This stage focused on rebuilding relationships. I did that with my family, which was great. I was able to rebuild a distant relationship that I had with them and got closer to them. Developing a sense of belonging and finding meaning in life after trauma. 100%, I feel like I found my purpose. Growth and renewal. Some individuals may experience personal growth and a sense of renewal as they integrate the trauma into their life story. 100%, I feel like that situation happened and I'm better because of it. I'm not gonna let it define me. I sought the help that I needed, and I didn't let what happened to me define me, as my therapist would say. And it's important to remember that recovery is not always linear. 100% healing is not linear. I had my days. I'm better now. 2 years ago, I had days where I was so happy. I was really enjoying life. And then I had days where I was really, really sad. Didn't want to get out of bed. Or, I had days where it just hit me really hard. I remember I had one day where I had a episode and I really wailed crying because I was like, what has happened this year? This year, all this happened to me. How could this happen to me? Like I said, you have your days and you'll have your ways, 100%. You go back and forth between stages. Support from mental health professionals and loved ones is crucial throughout the process, 100%. Like, I did receive professional help, and I also helped myself with the education and the knowledge that I have. I definitely think both have been very crucial for me, but I did a lot of self-healing after receiving professional help. But I did also need to go back to the professional help after the self-healing because I thought I was sitting with my thoughts for too long, and I needed somebody to kind of validate all the things that I went through and was dealing with over the past year and a half that I was healing myself. And what I did, I was doing the right things to get myself to the point that I'm at now. And I'm proud of all the growing and the healing that I did. And I don't regret a single moment of it. I'm better because of it. Um, PTSD treatment typically involves a combination of therapy and medication, with evidence-based psychotherapies being the most effective common treatments, including cognitive processing therapy, prolonged exposure, eye movement, desensitization, excuse me, just prolonged exposure, eye movement desensitization, and reprocessing. Medications like SSRIs and SNRIs can also be helpful in managing PTSD symptoms. Psychotherapy, cognitive processing therapy, helps individuals identify and change negative thinking patterns related to the traumatic event. Prolonged exposure gradually exposes individuals to trauma-related memories, feelings, or situations to reduce avoidance and fear. 100%. I remember in the beginning of my healing journey, I was going to therapy and I was like so worried about watching horror movies. I was like, oh my God, is this gonna give me like a familiar feeling of like somebody's lurking in the darkness and like all this, like the things that the familiar survival feelings, like, am I gonna feel that as I'm watching this movie? Like, I was afraid in the beginning. I'm better now. I've been watching horror movies now, but I in the beginning I was like, oh my God, I'm so scared to watch a horror movie. It's October, it's my favorite thing to do, but I feel scared to watch them. It's gonna trigger me. And my therapist said exposure therapy is a great thing to do, but you should do it with somebody next to you so you have that person to rely on that's gonna, if something does trigger you, you have somebody there to calm you down. So that was definitely helpful. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing uses guided eye movements to form a bilateral stimulation to help process traumatic memories. Other psychotherapies, interpersonal, supportive, and psychodynamic therapies can also be helpful, especially for those who prefer not to directly confront their trauma. And medication, selective serotonin. I don't know how to say this. Selective serotonin ruptake inhibitors. And examples include paroxetine and sertraline, which are often the first line medications for PTSD. Serotonin, no, I don't know how to say it. SNRIs, their venlafaxine is an example of SNRI that may be used to treat PTSD and other medications, antipsychotics, anti-energetic, anti, I don't even know how to say this word, and anti-alox. I don't know how to say these words. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm not gonna even try. Let me skip this. Medications to avoid bendiet. Skip. Recommended for PTSD. Valium and Xanax are generally not recommended for PTSD due to potential side effects and lack of I don't know how to say this word, guys. I'm so sorry. Bear with me today. These words are so hard to say. Okay. Important consideration, individualized treatment. The best approach to PTSD treatment varies from person to person, and it's crucial work with a healthcare professional to determine the most appropriate course of action. Treatment duration. Psychotherapy can last from a few weeks to several months, and medication effects also take time to appear. And medication side effects. Important to discuss potential side effects with your doctor and monitor your response to medication. And treatment-resistant PTSD. If initial treatment is not effective, others options include different medications and therapies can be explored in seeking help. If you are experiencing symptoms of PTSD, it's essential to seek professional help as soon as possible. You can find mental health services in your area, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration website. And it's let's give you some statistics now on PTSD. In the US, about 5% of adults experience post-traumatic stress disorder in any given year, according to the National Center for PTSD. The lifetime prevalence is estimated at 6.8%. Women are more likely to be diagnosed with PTSD than men, with 8% of women experiencing it in their lifetime compared to 4% of men. Past year past year prevalence, 3.6% of U.S. adults have PTSD in a given year. A lifetime prevalence, 6.8% of U.S. adults experience PTSD at some point in their lives. Gender differences. Women are more likely to have PTSD than men, 8% versus 4% lifetime prevalence. Veterans, a significant portion of veterans experience PTSD, with rates varying based on deployment and combat experience. Children and adolescents, a large percentage of children witness traumatic events like violence, and a substantial number of experiences of sexual or physical assault. And global prevalence, as an estimated 3.9% of the global population has experienced PTSD at some point in their lives. Trauma type. Rates of PTSD vary depending on the type of traumatic event experienced, with higher rates following sexual violence and war-related trauma. The treatments, while effective treatments are available, only a small percentage of people with PTSD in low and middle income countries seek treatment. Now, the factors influencing PTSD, the types of trauma, certain types of traumatic events like sexual assault or combat exposure are linked to higher rates of PTSD. Gender. Women are more susceptible to developing PTSD than men, potentially due to the types of trauma they are more likely to experience. And age. PTSD prevalence tends to increase with age and may decrease in older adults. And mental health. Individuals with pre-existing mental health conditions like anxiety, depression are at higher risk. And social support. A lack of social support is associated with the increased PTSD risk. And here are some important considerations. Underreporting. PTSD may be underreported due to individuals delaying seeking treatment or experiencing subsyndromal PTSD and delayed expression. Some individuals may not develop PTSD symptoms until months or years after the traumatic event. And comorbidity. Comorbidity. PTSD often co-occurs with other mental health conditions like anxiety, depression, and substance use disorders. Many well-known celebrities have spoken openly about having PTSD. So let me give you some examples of people. So you know you're not alone. There are celebrities that you adore out there that have it. Lady Gaga, she revealed that she developed PTSD after being sexually assaulted at age 19. Whoopi Goldberg developed PTSD after witnessing a mid-air collision in the 1970s, which caused severe anxiety about flying. Charlize Theron shared stories about her childhood trauma that contributed to PTSD. Megan Fox, she discussed trauma-related struggles, including PTSD. Ariana Grande said she experienced PTSD symptoms after the 2017 Manchester concert bombing. Kanye West has spoken about experiencing PTSD following a near-fatal car accident. And Daryl DMC McDaniels, Run DMC, shared a journey with PTSD related to adoption, trauma, and addiction. Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer, has spoken about the trauma, depression, and PTSD-like symptoms. Monica Seles, I don't know how to say her name right. She developed PTSD after being stabbed during a tennis match in 1993. And veterans in the public eye, such as Prince Harry, has spoken about trauma from his mother's death, experiencing death. Take that back. Trauma from his mother's death and experiences during his military service relating to PTSD. Now, for individuals with PTSD, numerous resources offer support and treatment coping strategies. The National Center for PTSD, along with the organizations like Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services and National Alliance on Mental Illness, provide a wide range of services, including crisis support, information, and treatment options. So I'm going to give you some resources now. Here's the point where we reach the resources, and then we'll go to the affirmations and coping strategies, and we are done for the day, you guys. But I just wanted to get on here and give you this episode because this episode hits close to home with me. So here's the crisis support veterans crisis hotline. Veterans and their loved ones can call or text 988, then press 1 and chat online for confidential support. The 988, then press 1, the suicide crisis lifeline. Anyone can dial 988 for immediate support with mental health crises, including suicidal thoughts, or you can dial 911 for life-threatening emergencies.
the National Center for PTSD. It offers comprehensive information about PTSD treatment options and resources for veterans, family members, and the public. And the mentalhealth.va.gov. It provides information on PTSD and other mental health conditions, including treatment options and other support services. I think when I did these resources, I didn't. Okay, I got actual numbers. So let me start this over. So you can dial the 988 suicide hotline, 988 for free confidential support 24/7 if you're in emotional distress or crisis. The SAMHSA's helpline is 1-800-662-4357. 1-800-662-4357 for free treatment referrals and information on PTSD and other mental health issues. And the Veterans Crisis text line, that is 988. Then you press 1, or you can text 838-255. Let me repeat that. You can text 838-255 for 24/7 support for specifically for veterans. And the international hotlines, you have Canada, you can call 988 as well. UK and Ireland, you can call Samaritans at 116-123. In Australia, you can call the Lifeline at 131114. If you're outside these areas, you can search the suicide hotline and it'll ask you for your country for local help. And here are some organizations you can reach out to. The National Center for PTSD, it's ptsd.va.gov. And then you have the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI. It is NAMI.org. Or you can reach out to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, ADAA. It's ADAA.org. Or the Sidran Institute is SIDRAN.org. And resources on trauma and PTSD disassociation. And these are some apps and self-help tools. PTSD Coach app. It's developed by the VA. It offers coping tools and self-assessments and education. You have Headspace Calm. It is guided meditations to help with anxiety, sleep, and relaxation, and Mood Mission. It helps with anxiety, low mood, and suggests coping strategies. Now, these are types of support therapies: trauma-focused CBT, EMDR, eye movement desensitization, and eye reprocessing, and a group therapy are effective for PTSD. Some support groups, both in-person and online peer support groups, support communities, and help reduce isolation. And lifestyle and self-care, exercise, grounding techniques, mindfulness, journaling, and safe connections with loved ones can manage your symptoms. Remember, PTSD is treatable, and reaching out for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Now, let me give you some of affirmations. This is my favorite part. So this is for grounding and safety. I am safe in this moment. I can breathe. I can breathe through this feeling and it will pass. Like this too shall pass. My body deserves to feel calm and at peace. The danger is over. I'm living in the present. This is for strength and resilience. I have survived things and I am still here. My strength is greater than my fear. Each day I grow stronger and more in control of my life. Healing is not linear and that is okay. Now, this is from some self-compassion. What happened to me was not my fault. I allow myself to rest without guilt. I can be patient and gentle with myself as I heal. This is for hope and healing. I believe in my ability to heal. My trauma does not define me. I am more than what I went through. I am reclaiming my life step by step. I deserve a future filled with safety, joy, and peace. And saying affirmations out loud and writing them in a journal or even recording your voice and playing it back can make them more powerful. Now, let me give you some coping strategies before we finish this up. Now, you have some grounding and calming techniques. You can do the 5-4-3-2-1 method. You name 5 things you see, 4 things you feel, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you taste to pull yourself back into the present. Deep breathing. Inhale slowly for 4 counts. Hold for 4. and exhale for 6 to 8. Progressive muscle relaxation, tense and release muscles from head to toe and ease with tension. And sensory grounding, hold something with texture, ice cubes, smooth stone, or warm tea. Remind yourself you're in the present. And healthy thinking, positive self-talk, remind yourself I am safe now. Challenge intrusive thoughts. Ask, is this thought true right now or is it a memory? And affirmations. Use gentle reminders like I am more than my trauma. And daily practices. Journaling. Write down thoughts or triggers and release them from your mind. Art, music, and writing. Expressing emotions through creativity can be healing. Like pick up a hobby, do anything to help yourself. Gratitude and practice. Listening, even one small positive thing daily helps shift focus from fear to hope. Physical and lifestyle support, movement, walking, yoga, stretching can release built up stress. Healthy sleep routines, go to bed and wake up at the same time. Use calming rituals like tea and meditation. Limit alcohol and drugs. Substances can worsen PTSD symptoms over time. I've been there when I had my episode before New Year's when I was in my recovery period. I did have an episode, but like I said, I it, it varies with different people. Balanced diet, regular meals stabilize energy and mood. Connection and support, a trusted person, talk to a friend, family member, or support group when feeling overwhelmed. Therapy, trauma focused CBT, EMDR, or group therapy can be very effective. Support groups, online or in person communities provide understanding and reduce isolation. An important reminder, coping strategies can ease symptoms, but they don't replace professional care. PTSD is treatable, and seeking help from a therapist or a doctor is a strong step toward healing. And here are some gentle self-care routines for PTSD. A morning routine, a gentle wake up, avoid alarms that are too jarring. Use softer sound or lighting based alarm if possible. Grounding, breathing, and 3 to 5 deep belly breaths. Inhale, calm, exhale, tension. Affirmation and daily intention. Say something like, today I will take one step toward healing. Movement, light stretching, yoga, or a short walk release the tension and boost energy. Nutrition, eat a balanced breakfast, protein and full fruit and whole grains to stabilize your mood and your blood sugar. And daytime routine, stay balanced, present, plan with pacing, break tasks into small manageable steps, use lists to avoid overwhelm, and grounding breaks. I think I spoke about this. The 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique and mindful breathing. Connect, reach out to a supportive friend, therapist, or community if you feel isolated. Creative expression, journaling, drawing, or music. Movement or exercise. In your evening routine, a digital detox, 100%. Soothing ritual, reflect and release. Write down any intrusive thoughts and worries in your journal before bed. Oprah actually just spoke about this. Affirmations, I am safe now. I allow my body and mind to rest. And a sleep routine. Go to bed at the same time nightly and keep that room cool, dark, and quiet. And extra tools, emergency grounding kit. Keep items like a calming scent, textured object, a sonar, or stress ball, soothing playlist handy or flashbacks for flashbacks or panic. Mindfulness apps, try PTSD Coach, Headspace, or Calm for guided relaxation. And self-compassion. Remind yourself healing is not linear and needing rest and support is okay. And building structure is powerful for PTSD. So it helps the brain relearn and can be predictable, safe, and manageable. Thank you guys for listening today. I hope today's episode helped. It definitely hit close to home because I am somebody who is dealing with PTSD in my daily life. Now, as for next episode, I have not figured it out yet. I have between today and tomorrow to figure it out. Hopefully, this interview goes well today. So, if you or anyone you know is struggling, text HOME to 741-741, the crisis text line, for a free confidential conversation with a trained counselor at any time of day. Text or call 988 or use the chat function, the 988lifeline.org. The 988 continues to offer support to anyone who needs it, but no longer offers specialized LGBTQIA plus support. If you're looking for specialized support in that community. You can contact the Trevor Project directly at 24/7. Call 1-866-488-7386 and text START to 678-678. Text START to 678-678 or connect online at the trvr.org/get-help for the same free secure support as always, and find more crisis resources at the jedfoundation.org/crisis. And the new lifeline for the LGBTQIA plus community given by Canada due to be taken away by the United States is 1-877-330-6366. Thank you guys for listening. See you guys next time. Remember, this too shall pass. Hope you guys stay well. Love you guys. Bye-bye.